ITNation Connect 2024 was last week. It's the Monday after. Huge success. Largest MSP event of the year. So many new announcements. So many new exciting things going on. We had a great time. We had Podcasters Row for the first time ever at an MSP event, by the way, not just IT Nation, where we had 9 podcasters set up in their own area, in a high traffic area, just having conversations with attendees, MSPs, with vendors, with ConnectWise staff. Just a wonderful event. Ushering the new CEO, Manny Ravello, as Jason McGee exits, and lots of great new product announcements. I personally had a speaking session there as well, which was a great success. How to help MSPs in sales and marketing with podcasting. There was great after parties with Universal and Stone Temple Pilots, and Tony Hawk spoke, and it was an incredible event. We recorded many conversations, and the following is one of the conversations, and they were all great. It was a high traffic area, so they might be a little noisy, but just a great event. I encourage everyone to consider going to it. Thanks so much for listening.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How'd I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually asked them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Yeah,
You hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Perfect.
So, how do you pick the best steak? How do you know how to cook the best steak and what cut to choose?
Oh, I'm a ribeye lover all the way.
Ribeye.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between a ribeye and what are some of the other cuts? We
Like
had
a
dinner
filet
together.
mignon?
Filet mignon or steak, New York steak.
See, a filet mignon is going to be very nice and tender, but very lean, where a ribeye still has all the fat and the marbleization, and it's just delicious.
But the ribeye, you want the marbleization because it's juicier.
That's exactly why. That's why I eat that.
Oh, but
And-
the filet. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting the mixed up. How about a New York strip?
It's a little bit of the best of both worlds.
I see. And when you choose, will you always go with what you choose, or will you ever deviate?
From time to time, I'll deviate. I like a ribeye. Last night, I had a Wagyu New York strip, which was fantastic.
Was it good? Was it really?
Yeah,
Have you ever cooked Wagyu?
I have.
I'm afraid.
You want to know something? It's much easier than you thought it would be.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's only one minute aside, just hot.
1 minute aside, you just put like a touch of oil or a touch of butter there. 1 minute, let it cook. Another minute, let it cook, and it's delicious. But you can't eat too much because it's so rich.
It's so rich.
Yeah.
Because I know like Costco has them like $800 for it, and you got to cut them, and I'm afraid of like.
When I do that, I go to the butcher. Let him get you a good cut. Let it be ready so you could just go home, cook it, make it nice and easy.
And then of course, when we also went out, you picked all this Japanese food that I didn't recognize. The sake was so good.
Oh, so good.
I didn't know it could be so buttery like that.
Yeah, it's delicious. And they, cold sake, there's so many types and so many variations, and they really take pride in it.
Yeah,
I love
they
it.
really do, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's always chilled.
Oh, wait. Well, no, there's hot sake. But
Is there? Oh, that's right. I've had hot sake, come to think about it. Yeah. Yeah, but I guess, I really don't know the difference. But so we're here at ITNation. This is the biggest MSP event of the year. There's thousands of people here, Adam. So as an MSP and there in Long Island, what are some of your goals this week?
This week, I want to see, some of the presentations. I'd like to, meet lots of people. Obviously, we're out. We're, always looking for companies to come join us on our, new ventures.
So you created a platform. You want to have other MSPs come together and keep building this great platform that there's kind of a base now.
Right.
And how so? What would be interesting? What would be a potential MSP target?
So right now we're really looking from Maine to Miami. I'm
Maine
thinking
to
that we're going to
Miami.
be, we're looking for companies, high six figures in EBITDA all the way through 4 million, contracts in place, good companies, good culture, you know, people who just want to join a bigger team, a good team, and just, have more growth, kind of like I wanted.
Tell me about how you started your MSP. Why would you possibly start a business like this?
Well, the truth is, I didn't start it all by myself.
Ah.
We actually were a family-run business, and we weren't an MSP. We were a software development shop. And I came in, my father, had started this company, and we did a lot of inventory, manufacturing systems. And when I came in, I was just a hardware tech and just helping out with a little bit of, a little bit here and there. And as time went on, it went from just being an engineer to getting into sales. And then, you had your first customer who turned around and says, I don't like this, I get a bill for $1,000 this month, $2,000 this month. How about we just take the average of 6 months and, we put it all together. So I said, okay, sounds good. That worked. And then eventually, we brought more structure to it, how we're going to calculate these rates rather than doing it off of hourly, because it got to the point where I didn't want to bill people hourly. I don't like people trying to quantify everything you do. And over time, it's really just, it's grown and spawned from there.
And when you started doing support, was it recurring completely, or did you ever go break fix at first?
No, it was all break fix at first.
And then why make the move?
Because, when you have companies out there that they want to keep their bills consistent, right? And, you could go install a new computer and you could spend 4 or 5 hours setting up somebody, and somebody looks at it and they're like, $1,000 to set up a computer, and then you could do the most complicated thing in the world and it takes you 45 minutes. But it only took me 45 minutes because I had the experience to know how to do that.
Right.
And it just got to the point where you can't justify every action by an hour, an hour. You want to do things that make people, happy that, you're their insurance policy and it just works.
So you changed, or the customers, or was it both? Did they say we want something recurring?
It was kind of a mix of both. Definitely was a customer who came to me for the first time. That customer was still a customer of mine. Unfortunately, the CEO is no longer there, but he was kind of like a mentor to me, over time. We're still friends, but he's the one who gave me the original idea. And then, I pitched it to other customers, and then a few others came to me, and that's kind of how that started. But that was in the early 2000s. I mean, life was very different than it is now.
Yeah. Do you still do app dev now?
We do. It's not, it's not the major piece of our business anymore, but we do quite a significant amount. We focus really on the customers who need those kind of requirements. And, I think it's what sets us apart, that, we're not just a commodity to them, that we take the time to understand their business, their needs, and we could jump in and help them in areas where they may not always have thought that that would be something that we could do for them.
And my MSP, we were app dev shop as well. The problem with app dev, that's hard to make recurring.
It is. But what we found is there's a lot of customers out there who really have ongoing needs. And the biggest problem, as you probably know, is how do they budget for it? So we have a lot of customers now who are just buying recurring blocks of hours, and we modify those up or down based on what their needs seem to be.
So as an MSP, what keeps you up at night, Adam? What's number one?
I got to be honest with you. I really don't stay up at night
Good for
anymore
you.
about it. I have, we have good customers. I have a great staff. I used to lose sleep over, who was paying the bills? Are we going to get a new customer? You have a customer all of a sudden that gets acquired by another company and you lose them, and you say, am I ever going to get another customer? Those are the things I used to lose sleep over. But as time went on, those are not, those really didn't become my concerns anymore. My concerns really are just making sure that we're just every day that we're going to continue to be consistent.
And things like security and these kinds of threats, do they concern you? You're comfortable with your tools and your process and your
Look,
team?
they should concern everybody. You know, security risks are real.
Yes.
You know, everybody is at risk, and it doesn't matter how well you're protected. It's not a matter of if somebody's going to try to hack your business. It's a matter of when, and then how well you're prepared to address it, stop it, or if something gets through, recover from it quickly. And a lot of companies, you know, there's a lot of companies out there who still don't see the value or understand it until it's happened to them, which is really unfortunate. But we really try to do our best to educate our customers of, you know, this is really what you need to do. And, you know, years ago, we used to a la carte all our services and everybody could pick and choose. But it got to the point one day where I turned around and I said, why am I giving my customers a choice of, do I want to protect myself halfway or all the way? So now we just have it where here's what we do, here's what we provide, and we're going to make sure that we're taking care of everything properly. Just like when you go to the doctor and he tells you, you know, take this pill, take it for 7 days, call, you know, let me know if you have any other problems. You don't argue with them.
How long have you been in MSP?
About 22 years now.
Amazing. So anybody thinking about starting an MSP, or maybe it's just a year in, your advice is?
Run. No. No.
You could say run. It's tough.
No, look, it's very tough, and
Yeah.
you need to have a stomach for it. And if you don't have the stomach for it, that's one thing. And if you don't really have a good business mind of how to deal with people, it's really hard, because just being an engineer is not enough. You know, understanding what people need, what they want, how, you know, how they need to be serviced is a big deal. So my advice to people would be is, you know, make sure that you're doing the best job you could do, but you always keep on, you know, moving and selling and growing, because if you're not growing, you're dying. And I mean, that really is the truth.
Yeah, you really are. And so many MSPs are tech led, so that the you know, the sales and marketing isn't their strength. Sometimes they don't like doing it, so it's tough to try to help with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, there's lots of ways to go about it. You know, you can find salespeople that just work off of pure commission. You know, you're going to pay them more. You know, you're going to pay them more, you know, for each deal. But, you know, you go that route. There are marketing agencies that do a phenomenal job that will help bring customers your way. There's networking events. You know, you don't have to be a salesperson to go to a networking event. You go and just listen and, you know, get into a conversation with somebody. You know. And all it takes is one good customer that gives you referrals. You know, we have accounting firms that every week we have one of their customers who's calling us in one way, shape, form, or another. Hey, I heard this is what you guys do. You guys are great. Let's talk.
Yeah, it's really, really essential to that. And some of the wrong reasons to start. I remember when I started my MSP, my friends would say to me, "You don't have any bosses. That must be so great." Adam, I have more bosses than I've ever had in my freaking life, right? I mean, every one of my clients, every one of my vendors, and to my employees to some degree. Wrong reason to start a business.
And that's what people miss. They think that just because you're the owner that you could do what you want.
Yeah.
And it's great
Yeah,
being an
there's
owner.
certain
I mean,
liberty,
listen,
yeah.
there are so many perks to being an
Yes.
owner, but you are beholden to everyone.
Yeah.
You're beholden to your employees. Your employees expect everything of you. You want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. You're keeping culture. You're keeping morale. Your customers want to make sure you're doing the right thing. Your pricing is right. Your service is good. You're on point. You're available to them. Your vendors, you got to negotiate your rates. You know, vendors always want to start high. You got to bring them down. You know, there comes a point where, you know, you lose value in it. So, you know, you got to find the right spot in all of it. You know, you don't want to, you don't want to price your customers too low, but you don't want to price it too high.
Yeah, and there's certainly that give and go.
Yeah, everything is a bit of a give and take. And if you can't live with the ebbs and flows, it's really, really going to be tough.
Is there anything in the last 30, 60 days that you changed your mind on, Adam?
That I changed my mind on.
Anything, business, personal, anything.
Yeah. So, you know, we recently exited, became a platform, and my job was going to be just to dive in and just work and get things done. And my daughters had a couple days off from school, and I said, you know what, taking a few days off. I took them to Paris. We spent, you know, a nice long weekend there, and that was just really a quick switch where my head was fully focused
Good
on
for
business,
you.
and I realized that, you know what, I need to make that free time too. You know, you got to make sure. And it's very hard to remember to constantly keep that work-life balance.
Yes. Yeah. And that's another thing to stress to these these MSPs, even small to medium businesses that just start up, that work-life balance.
It's in the beginning, you just have to remember that you're not going to have a life.
Yeah.
You are going to work, you're going to be on call 24/7, and it is what it is. I mean, I've been found sleeping in a server room at 6 a.m. because I was working till 4 and I kind of passed out and I needed a little bit of a nap. It's happened.
It definitely happened. Which brings me on to my next point. I started my MSP in the 90s, Adam, and I think you know the story. I was working way too hard. Got myself up to 340 pounds. Doctor says to me, if I don't lose the weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. So a prime example of life where I put my own health way behind, and it scared the hell out of me. I'm driving home punching the steering wheel. So I spent the next 6-7 months, lost 130 pounds. And you can't look at it as a finishing line, right? You got to keep with it. You got to keep going.
It's a discipline.
That's exactly right.
I mean,
That's
look,
how I answer, the discipline. Yes.
It's a discipline. Anything that you do that you're going to do well, having an MSP, losing weight,
Yeah.
playing a sport, doing anything, it's a discipline. If you're not going to be disciplined and do something, why bother doing it at all?
Interesting. So have you always considered yourself a disciplined person?
Always. And listen, we all have lapses. We all have had, where we forget to do things. Look, I put on weight at some point. I lost my father in 2014, and I forgot about things. I put on a lot of weight, and then, but you got to remember to get back on track and just keep doing it. You know? Discipline can break, but you have to try to be as consistent as possible. Otherwise, it'll get you.
Yeah, you broke your arm recently.
I did.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of pick up good habits.
Yeah, look,
when you're mobile.
listen, I broke my arm, and I felt bad for myself. I was dealing that. I didn't know what kind of movement I was going to gain or lose, and thankfully, I'm in great shape now. But
Sure.
I let it slip again, and it happens, and you just got to pick it back up and keep it going.
What motivates you, Adam Hartley?
Building.
Building.
And it doesn't matter what you're building, whether you're building a family or you're building a business or, you're building and adding customers, you're adding products, or you're growing your group of friends or whatever it is, just building, just getting out there and finding something and, having a goal and getting after it. I mean, that's really every day. That motivates me.
So given that motivation of pretty much impact and building, how do you measure success?
It's funny. Is success truly achievable? Do you ever say I got there and I'm going to stop? You ever say I got enough customers? You ever say that I'm in good enough shape? Or am I, success is just quantified, but by whatever the measurable result that you want to get. But once you get there, are you going to keep being successful, or do you say I got there and just let it slide?
And so how do you know how do you feel successful in your own life?
You know what? I have 2 daughters who are my world,
Yeah.
who they're amazing, and they're smart, and they just, I get to instill everything that I've learned in them, my mistakes, my successes, seeing them grow is probably my greatest success.
Yeah, I have 2 daughters as well, and
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking, by the way. They look like their mother, don't worry. But
They're so lucky.
but just seeing them grow and becoming young women and seeing what they do, there's no greater gift.
No, it's really incredible, and that's probably my greatest success. My business, just been growing it over the years, and I've had my ebbs and flows, my ups and downs, but that's been a great success over the years. And why is it success? Because I'm keeping at it. You can't stop being a father. I can't stop being
right.
an owner, a CEO. I can't stop. You just got to keep going.
Adam Hartley, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to continued success with you and continue our friendship. Thanks so much for your
Joe,
time.
thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Great pleasure.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with 1 or 2 of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. podcast information. The video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Disciplined Conversations.